Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, tell me, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today. Are my friends ready for fun and play? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Park. The man-made madness, the man-made wonder that is Central Park. None of this, what I'm about to show you, is real. I need to keep my brain fresh. Good to see you, Cheryl. Hugs all around. Good to see you, Link NYC. I need to keep my brain fresh, so we're going to do a full 2-hour walking tour of Central Park. Good to see you, Griff. We're going to see almost all the major landmarks of the park. Good to see you, Guy Heyman. Good to see you, Norm from Bangor, Pennsylvania. Good to see you, Amy. Good to see you, Dave. Good to see you, VG. Hello. We're going to see almost all the major landmarks of the park. We're going to see, hopefully we'll maintain signal, because I know some parts of the park have a crappy signal. Even the Hidden Garden, no, we're not going to go to the Hidden Garden. It's all the way uptown. Good to see you, Julie. Good to see you, Mel. So welcome. Here it is. Central Park. Now, I want you to keep this in mind as we walk through the park here. None of this is real. All of this is nature, staged, managed. It was created by two men, Frederick Law Olmsted. He was an American-born landscape architect, and Calvert Vaux. He was a British-born architect. Calvert Vaux kind of designed the infrastructure and all the pathways we're going to be walking on, and also some of the buildings and bridges that are here in Central Park. If you want to build Central Park anywhere in the world, good to see you, Amy and Larry. If you want to build Central Park anywhere in the world, you can. The instructions are on the internet. All you need is 27,000 trees, 9,000 benches, 142 miles of drainage pipe, 3,000 plants, shrubs, and bushes. The only natural feature are these outcroppings of rock. This is called Manhattan schist. And we used over 266 tons of gunpowder to sculpt the rock. That is more gunpowder that was used in the Battle of Gettysburg. Kind of amazing. 10.5 million cartloads of topsoil. I love Central Park too. We look down onto the nature sanctuary right down there. I wish I had you guys on the gimbal. It's warm enough to go be on the gimbal right now, but I forgot the gimbal at home, so we're doing it old school. We're doing it old school. Central Park is 843 acres large, or 341 hectares. Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you, Mike. We're gonna make our way over to a little bridge right now. And then we're going to see all the major landmarks of the park. We will see the Angel of the Waters fountain. We will walk down the mall. We will see Alice in Wonderland. We're going to see the John Lennon Memorial. We will see the Dakota Building, the Sheep's Meadow, all that good stuff. If you ever come on one of my walking tours here in Central Park, this is exactly what you're going to see. So I'm basically doing this because I got paid to come into the city today, and I want to keep my brain fresh on doing a Central Park walking tour. As people look at me funny talking into my phone, a YouTube tradition. Got my coffee. So we're chilling out here walking with a coffee. Central Park opens up in 1858. And when the park first opens up, it's not complete. The park is fully realized by 1871. The park is 51 blocks deep. It starts from 59th Street between 8th Avenue and 5th Avenue, and it goes all the way up to 110th Street. We're making our way over to a little footbridge here. There are 36 bridges, all unique. Plugged in your phone, got your Pepsi, and you're ready for the tour. That's right, Julie. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Work hard and prosper. Yes, I know all about that. So what those monks do is they give you a little card, and then they ask for money. You're with me? That's right. Pepsi does sound good. A 7-Up is better though. Look at the park here with all the snow. It's gorgeous. The park with all the snow is so nice. I would like to say my favorite seasons here in Central Park are autumn and spring. Good to see you, Bernd from Germany. Guten Tag. Long time no see. No 7-Up piff, that's right. So this is the, has no special name, just called the pond. Yes, all the bridges do have names. And we're coming up right now to the Gaspo Bridge. The Gaspo Bridge was built in 1869, just 10 years after the park opens up. This replaces the wooden bridge that used to be here that burned down. Yes, all the water here is frozen. Let's look at the frozen water. And this bridge has been in countless movies. And you're going to see iconic New York shot. Yeah, Pepsi's your habit. Yeah, Starbucks is my bad habit. Look at this view here. And if you can, take a screenshot, tweet it at me at DutchMoz, and I will retweet you. There it is, 5th Avenue and 59th Street. The Plaza Hotel just on the right-hand side of the screen. As you see, the lake or the pond frozen. All the water features of Central Park, except for the Harlem Mere, are all filled up with New York City tap water. Isn't that a great shot? Somebody playing a violin down below. Ooh, we have 2 people up at my favorite spot. I love this spot up there. Go on top of that rock there. Go on top of that rock there and have a great view of the park. Looks like they're doing some yoga or something like that. Very nice. That's the intersection of 59th Street, 5th Avenue. That tall black building in the background, that is Trump Tower. And the Plaza Hotel just to the right of that. And then the General Motors building is this tall white building right there. And then behind that, the really tall one, the really thin tall one, that's 432 Park Avenue. Yes, the Rock was already here. Yeah, the Rock is the only natural feature of the park. Home Alone 2, that's right, Griff. That's right. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on. It's a funny scene where in Home Alone 2 where when Kevin is running away from the crazy bird lady, the way it's shot, he's actually running, he's running away from her, but the way it's shot, he's actually running towards her. When you see him come underneath an arch, he's running towards where they filmed the bird lady scene, which is kind of funny. Because if you know about the park, you know how it works. Over there, the Kate Wallman Rink. The Wallman Rink. That was built in 1961 through lots of donations from philanthropist Kate Wallman. Today it's called the Donald Trump Rink, but most New Yorkers call it the Wallman Rink. Back in 1988, when the ice rink was in bad condition, Donald Trump in 1988 donated like $10 million to get it refurbished. And all he asked was he put his name on it. But like I said, most New Yorkers don't call it the Trump Rink, we call it the Kate Wallman Rink. In Home Alone 2, this is where the burglars are ice skating. It's right down there, right? Of course. Look at that nice outcropping of rock up there. Climbing that Manhattan schist. I tell you what. Good to see you, Mary. Welcome to Central Park. We're 10 minutes in on a full walking tour here in Central Park. This is what I do when I'm working. I walk this very route. So if you ever want to come out to New York and want to see what it's like or feel what it's like to come on a walking tour, this is what it's like. Let's make our way over. Gonna make our way over to the dairy right now. You to see a beautiful, we should be back. All right, we're back. I don't know how that phone number got through, because I do have you guys on Do Not Disturb. Is that magical? We're back. If it froze up, leave the room, come on back in. That right there is the dairy. One of the 4 original buildings designed for Central Park, designed by Calvert Vaux. As the name suggests, yes, they used to sell milk and cheese in that building. And in fact, in the lawn directly in front of the dairy, there used to be cows grazing. And the dairy didn't last very long, only lasted about 15 years. And I don't know how that phone number got through, because I have you guys on Do Not Disturb right now. I am not very happy. I could guarantee you, good to see you, Carrie. I could guarantee you that was somebody selling me something or something like that. It was a weird 718 number. So today, that's right, I forgot. Thank you, Mary. Today, this is the gift shop for Central Park. So you could go and buy Central Park perfume in there if you want, and you could smell like Central Park. If you want to smell like Central Park, it's lavender. It's lavender. That beautiful skyline of New York. The greatest sky, the Midtown skyline right there. I kind of wish the sun was out. It's so warm out here. That's right, Derriere perfume. That's right. So, yep, old lady's lavender, correct. Or you can just roll on the ground and you can smell like Central Park. That's right. Now, when Kevin is running away from the bird lady, you have that arch down there. We're not going to go through it, but that arch down there, that's the arch he's running through. And then the bird lady scene is beyond that. But when you see him run in the movie, he's running towards the direction of the bird lady. Go figure. Good to see you, Lorenzo. Just taking a little walk through Central Park. What's the scent for Brooklyn? Roses. Roses. That's the scent for Brooklyn. Roses. You mean Prospect Park, right? I gotta look at the Prospect Park. They sell perfume for Prospect Park also. I gotta find out what it is. Up at the top of the hill here is the Chess and Checkers house. But before they built the Chess and Checkers house in the 1950s, this used to be called Kid Mountain. And as the name suggests, it was a big outcropping of rock that they encouraged the children of the 1850s and 1860s to climb. It wasn't very safe, needless to say, but look up pictures of it. It's pretty funny. Now, as the name suggests today, the Chess and Checkers house, come here during the summertime and the springtime, and you could borrow a chessboard or a checkers board and play with your friends for free. Kind of amazing. Now we're gonna walk past the dairy here. The dairy was in horrible shape by the 1970s, and luckily when the Central Park Conservancy came together, they completely restored it. No, it wasn't covered in baby goats. No, it was not covered in baby goats. maybe a lost sheep from the sheep's meadow. So this building is made out of stone, and the stone is all the stone from here in Central Park. Now, when we used that 266 tons of gunpowder to remove the rock, we moved over 2 million cubic yards of rock to sculpt the rock to make them look aesthetically pleasing. And with the leftover rock, we built the Gaspeau Bridge that we were just on and the dairy right here. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm about to show you something that most tour guides would never show you. We're going to see something that is older than Central Park. Oh yeah, we're going to see the boathouse in a little bit. Right, isn't that a beautiful building? Now we're walking over a traverse. As you see, the crosstown streets are hidden with these traverses here. Originally, this was to keep that loud and annoying horse traffic separated from the pedestrian traffic. And it still pretty much works today. Now let's see if we can see the bolt The bolt. The bolt is very important because the bolt. No, I'm not gonna. Well, there's a homeless person up there. I want to. Hopefully, he's not lying down on my bolt. Is there underground homes near here? No, there's no underground homes here. It's a no winery zone. There you go. So, back in 1811, we decided, good to see you, Joey. Back in 1811, we decided we were going to straighten out the streets of New York City, create some order out of the chaos that was developing here in New York. So in 1811, we introduced the grid plan to the island of Manhattan. And that is that grid of streets we all know and love today, north of Houston Street. But when they were planning the grid plan, John Randall Jr. spent around 4 years putting down marble markers and bolts to signify where all the major intersections were going to be. This is the last surviving marker. This is the last surviving marker right here. It's underneath snow. But this marker here is from 1811. Where is my marker? There it is. Here it is. Here it is. The last grid marker bolt. Right there. That was placed there in 1811 by John Randall Jr. himself. And because of the construction of Central Park, it was able to survive all these years. Kind of amazing. That's the reason why Central Park is the shape that it's in. And if we were standing here today, we will be on the corner of 65th Street and 6th Avenue. So you see it lines up with the avenue perfectly. Kind of amazing. Most tour guides don't like to show this because they don't want it to get destroyed. But there it is. Just figure it out. 65th Street, 6th Avenue. But that is the last grid marker bolt. There were grid markers all across the city. And you know, when you had farm owners see this guy, John Randall, come around and put a large thing. I guess they do have sports areas in the park. You know, when the owners, the farm owners up here in Upper Manhattan, when they saw this guy, John Randall Jr., coming around putting stakes and huge marble monuments on their property, first of all, they took out the stakes and they destroyed the marble markers. But more importantly, they always threw stuff like garbage and stuff at John Randall Jr. There's actually a great excerpt in his memoirs, or his diary really, and he talks about how one farm owner was throwing rotten tomatoes and apples at him. So it's kind of funny. But that is the last grid marker bolt. As we now enter the mall, the only straight pathway in the entire park. All the pathways curve because they want to hide the noise and the hustle and bustle of the city. You got to remember, when this park opens up in 1858, there are no buildings taller than 6 stories. So you don't have the buildings around the park to give you some kind of orientation. The original idea behind the park was to get lost in the park. It was eminent domain. They used eminent domain to create the streets. Hey, look, it's Columbus. How you doing, Columbus? Doing good? Shodai? Shodai. Shodai? Shodai. Got a Shodai. All right. Now, right here used to be an amazing entrance to the mall. It was called the Marble Arch. And the Marble Arch is probably one of those things that I really wish I could have got to see in my lifetime. It was a grand entrance that separated you from the traffic here on the drive to bring you safely here into the mall. Now, in the 1930s, when they widened the main drive here to accommodate the automobile, unfortunately, we got rid of the Marble Arch. And never to be had again. Kind of sad. But now, I'll see you later, Bernd from Germany. Guten Tag, thanks for tuning on in. Watch the rest on replay. Got a lot more coming up. But now, you have seen this in movies. You have seen this in TV shows. You could drive here, but not around the entire park. And to be honest, it's not fun to drive here in Central Park because the pathways are so narrow. Here it is. The only straight pathway in all of Central Park. This is one of the largest grove of great American elm trees outside of Washington, D.C. These elm trees are original to the park. They were planted here in 1855, 1856. And luckily, because the park is surrounded by the city, these elm trees did not succumb to Dutch elm disease. There are a lot more elm trees all around the United States, but unfortunately that little affliction killed most of them. But we have a lovely grove here of great American elm trees. There's around 3,000 elm trees around the entire of Central Park. But here in this grove, around 400. And off in this direction here, we have Shakespeare, and we have somebody painting Shakespeare. Kind of cool. Isn't it beautiful? Even in the wintertime, the canopy it creates is absolutely beautiful. Hey, look! It's Sir Robert Burns. Sir Robert Burns wrote a little song that we listened to a couple of weeks ago. He wrote the song Auld Lang Syne. And evidently, it's also a Robbie Burns Day in Scotland. Lots of statues of famous men. No statues of famous women. But there will be soon a great statue being built for women in a few years. And conga line, everybody, that's right. I love how that sound is just flying across the park. So cool. Come here during the summertime, come here during the autumn time, and it's absolutely beautiful. And we got a wedding coming down the street here. Probably the most famous film to be filmed here, or movie film to be seen here. There's never going to be a Trump statue. In the movie Kramer versus Kramer, when the father teaches his son how to ride the bike, that's right here. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in a movie. As people think that I'm talking to them. Isn't that beautiful? Now we are being transported into the heart of the park. We're making our way over to the Angel of the Waters fountain right now. Got this truck coming on up here. The Central Park Conservancy. That's a great question. Where did Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson drive in the cab? One of my favorite scenes from Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's over in this direction over here. After we visit Strawberry Fields, we're going to go south towards Columbus Circle. So I will point it out exactly where Bruce Willis drove the car. Ah, look, got a good arm. I guess the snow may be novel to them. It's either that or there are pictures for Major League Baseball. As we continue on down the park into the beautiful oasis that is Central Park. Up here on our right-hand side is the Rumsey Playfield. During the summertime, we have Summer Stage up there. And if you've seen the Good Morning America concert series, it's also up there at the top of that hill. But there's a playground up there. It's 341 hectares large, 843 acres, 27,000 trees, 9,000 benches, 3,000 plants, shrubs, and bushes. 144 miles of drainage pipe is underneath our feet. Good to see you, precious gem. And it's amazing that this is all man-made. In 1855, Frederick Law Olmsted invents a tree-moving machine This tree moving machine was so popular that Barcelona bought one, London bought one, Paris bought one. But he literally, for the first 12 years Central Park was open, he would go around in his horse carriage and literally direct the trees. He will have the trees moved by a few feet left or right until they're in perfect harmony with what he wanted to look like. He made a beautiful park over there in Boston, absolutely. You could think of Frederick Lahr Olmsted and Calvert Vaux. They're kind of like the Hall and Oates, if you will, of park design. Yep, tree tinkering, literally. He drove some of his workers mad because he would go around and he will just move like the same 15. He moved over 2,000 trees after they were planted between 1858 and 1868. 10 years. The first 10 years the park is open. But by the 1870s, he was happy. By 1872, the park is officially complete. I'm happy we're maintaining the signal. Yeah, he was a little bit like, remember that going to the park like this, it was like a movie. It was like an IMAX film. You were coming here to experience nature, to walk with people, to be one with the grass and the trees and the birds. So now we're coming up onto Bethesda Terrace. When you come to Bethesda Terrace, look at the carvings. Don't bypass these carvings here. As you move around the landscape here, all the carvings reference the 4 seasons of the year. So we have our rooster. And then we have our, this is the sunrise, I think, right? Is it the sunrise? Yeah, the 6 different names, correct, yes. Yes, basically, they're little signs on the signposts telling you what your street coordinates are at. The harvest time. It's kind of amazing. This was created in 1871 and it's still around today. Then you have the book. I can't get around on the other side, so I can't show you the witch. There's a witch on the other side of this one here. But here's my owl. Hello, Mr. Owl. Right, aren't these carvings amazing? From 1871. I'm happy they survived. Here's the witch. Pigeons don't respect the sunrise. No, they don't. Isn't that cool? All right. Now, we are about to go into Bethesda Arcade. Always like the old reservoir. That's right. It's beautiful up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk into Bethesda Arcade, and vaulted on the ceiling of Bethesda Arcade are 15,000 hand-painted tiles. They're called the Milton tiles. And this is the only application of Milton tiles in the world vaulted onto a ceiling. You could find Milton tiles in the White House. Never seen these before. Oh yeah, no, they're very easily overlooked. They're very easily overlooked. So now let's walk into Bethesda Arcade. These tiles were in terrible condition by 1999, and beginning in 2000, they began a restoration job. And in 2007, 10 years ago now, they were returned after they were cleaned. Some of them were even recreated using the old world methods they used back in the 1860s. The side doors here, these are the bathrooms. So this is your woman's room, and that's your men's room. But it is wintertime, so they are closed. They are closed, but look at this. I love how this has been restored so lovingly. The Milton tiles. The Milton tiles. Isn't that beautiful? Most of these tiles are original, and there is a membrane above it so that it doesn't get any water or any rain coming through there. But as we look down, there's our angel of the waters. Let's go say hello to the angel. Hey, don't you love it? Me too. Yes, Milton was the artist. Hello, Christian. There's my beautiful angel. My angel of the waters. The Angel of the Waters fountain was to commemorate the opening of the Croton Aquifer. That is the first time fresh water comes down here to New York City. Hands outstretched, blessing the waters of Bethesda. The Angel of the Waters fountain references the Gospel of John. And I always forget that the four cherubs underneath her have meaning, and I always forget what, like one's for patience, one's for purity, one's for something else, and another one's for something else. I always forget. Now, back in the day, when we kind of didn't care about the park, we used to leave this fountain turned on through the wintertime and let it ice over. But because of that, it was destroying the copper pipes inside. So, beginning in 2000, we began to shut down the fountain. And in 2007, just like the Milton tiles, this fountain got completely restored. But our beautiful Angel of the Waters, we will return back to the Angel of the Waters momentarily. Oh, it looked amazing when it was frozen, Mel. One of my first memories of coming out here to Central Park as a young teenager, when I was like 15, 16 years old, coming out here in the wintertime, having the park completely empty, and seeing this fountain completely covered in water, it was amazing. Covered in ice, it was so amazing. During the summertime, they put lily ponds here in the bottom of the fountain here. And it's quite beautiful. And then just beyond the Angel of the Waters, we have the lake. No special name, just called the lake. We saw the pond, and now we're seeing the lake. And now we're gonna... That's right, that's right. Just put Coca-Cola inside there and it'll be no problem. So much to see here in Central Park, Norm. Absolutely. So much to see here. You could literally be here for a week. And when as I walk, good to see you, Susie. As I walk around the park right now, I am reminded of this amazing art exhibit that happened back in 2005. It was done by Jean-Claude and Christo, and it was called The Gates of Central Park. There were over 15,000 brightly orange-colored gates with this material hanging from them. And as you walk the footpaths here, you had a gate once every 8 feet. And it was so amazing coming out here in the middle of February and having all this life out here. So, great view of the Twin Towers of the San Remo Apartments, designed by Emery Roth. Right, don't you remember the gates? That was one of my I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was one of my most exciting experiences I think I ever had here in Central Park. And I photographed it and I videoed it, and what kind of drives me nuts is I have video of the gates, but it's on a mini DV tape, and my mini DV player doesn't work anymore. So if anyone has a mini DV tape player, please let me know. I want to digitize that video and put it on YouTube. Isn't that a great view? This is what Olmsted and Vaux want you to do, just to walk around and experience the sights and the sounds of the park. Up ahead, the Loeb Boathouse. Loeb Boathouse, I have to say, come here for breakfast. There is an amazing breakfast that you could have here at the Loeb Boathouse. It's very reasonably priced and nobody knows about it. So it's usually completely empty except for the locals who know what's up. So keep that in mind if you're looking for a fun place to have breakfast, a unique place to have breakfast. So now, coming up, one of the original arches that separated pedestrian traffic from the road traffic, the Trifoil Arch still is here. There is a stream, it's called the Riverlet, and that's way uptown by the Harlem area. That is the only natural stream here in the park. Montaigne's Riverlet, it's called, Montaigne's Riverlet. Now you know. Montaigne's Riverlet feeds the Harlem Mere. As we go underneath the Trifoil Arch. And now, if you have any fans of Stuart Little, you will see a spot that's very recognizable from the movie Stuart Little 2. coming up momentarily. Nothing like, there really isn't nothing like walking through Central Park here. There's really nothing in the world like it. Yes, it's man-made nature, but it's pretty beautiful. I don't know. You know what? I've never seen that movie. I've never seen that movie, Michael. I have never seen that movie. So I wouldn't know. I'm going to have to watch that movie. But over 325 movies and TV shows have been filmed here, so probably. Probably. As we come on out, but hey, you bloody headphones. Good to see you. Good to see you, Boozy. So, this little body of water right here, this is the conservatory water. Your feet will be, that's right, Mary. I do the walking for you, Mary. I do the walking for you. Here is the conservatory water. Most of us New Yorkers call this the model boat pond. If you saw the movie Stuart Little 2, this is where Stuart Little has his little boat race. And you see that boathouse off in the distance? When they were filming the movie, they actually built that boathouse off in the distance in almost full scale out in Hollywood, California, just for the filming of it. Now, as you see, if you remember the movie, there was an arch, like over here somewhere. And basically, supposedly, Stuart Little ends up on the other side of the park. But as you see, there is no arch and no waterway connecting this area with the other side of the park. There's no boats out today. It's all frozen. And then directly behind me, here he is, Hans Christian Andersen. And we got the little goose there. Good to see you, Hans. How you doing? It's all right? It's all right. 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 What are you reading here, Hans? The Ugly Duckling. Awesome. That's a great book. Don't you love the old YouTube videos from the 1920s and 1900s? Me too. Now I gotta tell you, it is time to tell you one of my most favorite stories here in the park. I gotta put down my coffee because I gotta zoom into the building here. One of my favorite stories. I know, he's been reading that page since like forever. All right. All right. It's Daddy K, really, that's right. There it is. Got this very posh building right here. And can you guys see the nest in the middle window there with the arch? Can you guys see the nest? Because that nest is a very famous nest. That is the home of Pale Male. Pale Male first came out here in 1997. Him and his first wife took up residence right above that arch right there. That is American news broadcaster's Paul Azahn's apartment. And when Paul Azahn found that these birds created a rather large nest there, the building had it removed. Well, when they had that nest removed, it annoyed a lot of New Yorkers. Over 300,000 people signed a petition to get that nest replaced back up there in the center window there. There were literally protests in front of the building here for weeks. But the nest was returned, and luckily Pale Male and his wife came back to nest. Pale Male is still alive. He is on his 8th wife. Unfortunately, his wives died from eating all the poisoned rats. But out of that first pair of nesting red-tailed hawks back in 1997, we now have over 33 pairs of red-tailed hawks in and around Central Park. And the hawks seem to know their real estate because they like to stay here on the east side on 5th Avenue. So if you ever go up to the museum of to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, or anywhere along the Museum Mile, you may see a red-tailed hawk flying high above your head. Because those hawks know where to live. They like Fifth Avenue. They want the money. They want to be where the money's at. It's kind of funny right here in front of the conservatory waters. Actually, there's a video of the protests that happened to bring back the nest. So you can check out those videos here on YouTube. You can look them up. Just look up Pale Male Protest, and you'll find a bunch of videos. As we continue to make our way around, our next big landmark coming up is the one, the only Alice in Wonderland. One of my absolute favorite statues after the Angel of the Waters. The Alice in Wonderland statue was put here in 1961. And isn't that an awesome story? The Alice in Wonderland statue was placed here in 1961, the same year we created Shakespeare in the Park. The same guy who put the money together for Shakespeare in the Park put together the money to build Alice in Wonderland as a gift to the children of New York and a memorial for his deceased wife, Margarita. And kids are doing what they do, climbing all over the statue. And truth be told, whenever I see kids climbing all over the statue, I do get a little nervous because it is made out of copper. And sliding and falling off that thing, it's not very good. But here it is. George Delacorte, the creator of Shakespeare in the Park, or the philanthropist who put together the money to bring Shakespeare in the Park, the theater anyway. Yeah, kids bounce, so they'll be fine. George Delacorte does make an appearance in this statue here. And as you see, Alice is very popular today. But George Delacorte, as I walk over him, he's the Mad Hatter. He's the Mad Hatter. Can't see it though. As everyone climbs all around the statue. There's George Delacorte's right over there. He's the Mad Hatter. This piece here was casted out in Brooklyn, all separate pieces. It was field welded in one site, in one piece here on site. This is the favorite climbing statue. This is one of the most favorite climbing statues in the city. Yes, it is. There she is. I'll see you later, Alice. I'll see you later. It's really popular today. Alice is always popular, though. Alice is always popular. Isn't that fun? All right, we're going to make our way now back past the boathouse, past the Angel of the Waters, and our next little spot is going to be the Bow Bridge. The Bow Bridge, made famous in I don't know how many countless movies. But we're going to see the Bow Bridge, and we're going to have an amazing view of the Dakota Building coming on up next. It wouldn't be New York without the sirens, that's right. Yes, I do wait ages to take the instas by the Alice in Wonderland statue, yes. It's hard to get Alice in Wonderland by herself in any kind of warm weather, so you got to be just a little patient to take pictures with her. I'm happy most of the snow is still around now. It's nice to show the park here with all this snow. I've never climbed a statue. No, well, Alice in Wonderland, yeah. Alice in Wonderland, I've sat next to her and all that. And it's not a regular thing I do, but... So that really tall building, that was 432 Park Avenue. You can't see it now. We're going to see it again. I was heading north. Now I'm heading across the parkhead. I'm going across town now. We were going north. Now we're going across. We're going towards the west side now. This is as north as I go on the walking tour. So we're just at around 70th Street. And the east side. Coming up towards the boathouse again. But now we're making our way over to the Bow Bridge. Oh yeah, the Jenga building is great. Yeah, unfortunately, the Jenga building's way downtown, so we can't see the Jenga building from here. When we get another view of 432 Park Avenue, I'll point it out. If we go up in this direction here, this is north, we will encounter Belvedere Castle. You got to be a fast walker on my walking tour to be able to go up to Belvedere Castle. Them squirrels are so used to people. Here's the boathouse. They have a good hot chocolate in there. Got some good muffins in there. 432 Park Avenue is an apartment building, correct. It is the tallest, residential structure in the Western Hemisphere. It's the same height as #1 World Trade Center without the needle on top, at 1,396 feet tall. Recently, a Saudi prince bought for his 23-year-old daughter for her birthday one of the 4 penthouse apartments available in 432 Park Avenue for the bargain basement price of $88 million on a discount from $95 million. There it is. There's 432 right there. Peeking on in. I have been inside that building, and needless to say, that building is purely mental. Ceiling heights in that building for each floor are 22 feet high, so you could literally have chandeliers in your apartment. Most of the apartments are 2 levels, and each window in the building is 10 by 10 foot squared. And it's one of 2 buildings here in New York City with a tuned mass damper. Here on YouTube, look it up. Look up 432 mass damper here on YouTube, and you will find an amazing video of the tuned mass damper kind of dulling out the wind and the swaying for 432 Park Avenue. See a beautiful view of the boathouse again, because I have tourists that are trying to listen in on the tour now, so I'm just going to stop. Everyone wants a freebie. Everybody wants a freebie. See, they turned around saying, "What? We don't hear the tour anymore." Nope, you're not going to get the tour. Sorry. Yeah. You got to tip me if you want a tour. Anyway. Let's look at the twin towers of the San Remo. And then we'll make our way behind the Angel of the Waters. Yep, it's called $1 Million Listing. So part of the design of Central Park here is to just be able to stop and to get views like this. That's right, Mary. You got to show me the barn. Now, you could buy the penthouse on the right-hand side. You could live in Demi Moore's former apartment. Not too bad, $72 million, and it's yours. It's a 4-level penthouse apartment with views on all 4 sides of the building, and it does come with 1 parking spot. But when her and Bruce Willis divorced, she got to keep the apartment. Let's continue on. Let's go behind the Angel of the Waters now. And we're going to make our way over to the Bow Bridge. Yeah, just get your checkbook out. It's all good. And remember, folks, if you're visiting New York, staring at native New Yorkers is not a good thing. So do not blindly stare at New Yorkers, even if they look crazy like I do with a selfie stick out. You don't want to stare at people. It's not proper. Here's our Angel again. And this is the back end here of Bethesda Terrace. Now this water feature here of the lake is filled up with New York City tap water. Like I said, all the water features here except for the Harlem Mere are all filled up with New York City tap water. They're all completely controllable. When the park first opens up, they used to actually lower the level of this lake, so you could go ice skating on it. Yep, I'm using a selfie stick. Yes, I am. I am not using the gimbal because I forgot it at home. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, Mary. Stable with a question mark? I don't know. That's up to you. You're watching at home. To me, it's pretty stable. I mean, I'm doing, you know. It's up to you, the viewer at home. Stable? All right. Now we're making our way over to the Bow Bridge, and I'm going to show you something fun. It is awesome. So we are in the middle of the park. Good to see you, Bob. We're just at around 72nd Street right now, and I'm just behind Bethesda Terrace, so the heart of Central Park. But I'm making my way over towards the west side right now. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I know the image stabilization isn't as good here on YouTube as it is on Periscope. Oh yeah, it's for stability, yes. And to help my hand out because I can't hold the phone. But as you make your way through the park, you see all these little plaques on the benches. You could literally get anything written on a bench. Thank you so much, Norm. All that money goes to the Central Park Conservancy. And depending on where you are here in the park, it's anywhere from $1,000 to $300. But here is my favorite benches. Here are my two favorite benches. And these have been here now for, I'm going to say 3 years now. But on this bench, VL will one day propose marriage to HRH. And she will say yes. I hope she did. I hope she said yes. That's been over 3 years ago now, so I wonder if they're married and they're just still putting money into that. You only get your plaque on the bench for a year at a time, so you got to re-up your money. You got to repay it every year to have your name on the bench. But all that money goes to the Central Park Conservancy. Over 300 horticulturists work here and maintain the park all year round. And truth be told, the park has never looked this good in its entire history. Whenever the city came to manage the park, it was kind of run down and there's too many moving pieces of the park here to maintain. And now it is time to go into the fairy tale world. I'll see you later, Mary. Thanks for watching. It's not cheap. Well, like I said, anywhere from $1,000 to $300 to get your name on a bench, depending on where in the park it is. Maybe. This is the Bow Bridge. Completed in 1859, 1 year after the park opens up. This is a cast iron bridge designed by Calvert Vaux. And then off in the distance, you have Dakota Apartments. There's a Dakota. Many famous people have lived in there. Many famous people still do live in there. Roberta Flack, Maury Povich, Connie Chung, to name a few. There's actually a great picture from right around here, and you see people ice skating, and the Dakota building is the only building here on the west side. The Dakota is as old as the Brooklyn Bridge. It was opened up in 1884, 134 years ago. It was literally the only building up here on the Upper West Side. It was so far north, in fact, that the investors had a little joke that it was so far north it might as well be in the Dakota Territories. And the name stuck. No, this is not safe to walk on. Absolutely not. You do not want to walk. Even though you see footprints down there, you don't want to walk on that ice. Absolutely. We will talk about John and Yoko when we get to the Dakota. I will tell you the whole story when we get there. But you don't want to walk on that ice, even though you see footprints down there. Yes, no more ice skating down there. Ice skating was down there back in the 1890s, 1880s, when the park first opens up. It's a very famous picture because, like, you see the park and only the Dakota in the background. None of the other buildings are there. There's the San Remo right up there. Let's make our way over to Strawberry Fields. Looking back, this is the most wooded area here of the park. This is called the Ramble. And as the name suggests, yes, you just go in there and ramble about. And at the top of that hill is Belvedere Castle. Now we're going to come back here in the warmer months, and we're going to go to, there's a cave. There's a cave up there, And I like to go there right now, but I know with all the snow, it may not be the safest thing to go down because you got to climb down very steep steps. But there's a cave up there, and we will be exploring that in the warmer months. But now let's continue on. Let's continue on to Strawberry Fields. It's very dense. It's the most wooded area here in the park. So if you go up there at night, it's completely pitch black. So I don't recommend going up there. And now, if you remember the cartoon, The Critic, you're going to see something straight out of the cartoon, The Critic, right now when I turn around here and I show you the Bow Bridge. Well, it's a very iconic scene. I mean, not just The Critic, the cartoon The Critic, but made in Manhattan. You'll have the scene from here too. But look at this view here. Absolutely gorgeous. The Bow Bridge. Very iconic New York scene right there. Up there, that building right up there, that's the Colonnade Apartments. That's where Diana Ross lives. And that's also where the Natural History Museum is. That's 82nd Street and Central Park West. Yes, it was actually, Alistair. Good to see you. Yes, it was in honor of the children's school out there in Liverpool. And when John Lennon passed away, Yoko Ono got that area of the park, acquired that area of the park to be remolded in John Lennon's memory. But you can literally just put down a camera anywhere and you get these amazing vistas. Let's continue on. I'm officially looking for a garbage can now because I am done with my coffee. Starbucks, you need to sponsor me. Come on. All right. Now, for all of you guys who are friends of the TV show Friends, if you like the TV show Friends, you may have, if you had the DVD to the TV show, there is a big lie and a big mistruth in the DVD bonus footage. They say that the Friends fountain is right here in Central Park. It is not. The fountain you see at the beginning of the TV show Friends is actually in Los Angeles. And I don't know why they say that this is the fountain from Friends in the DVD, because if you watch a TV show, there's buildings in the background. But this is Cherry Hill. You made it on time. Good to see you. Good to see you, Laurie. Just about halfway through the tour of Central Park. But this is not the Friends fountain. This is Cherry Hill. As you see, you got the rickshaws here. When the park first opens up in 1858, this is where you meet your friends and this is where you park your carriage. For the first 10 years Central Park is opened, nearly 50% of all park users have a private carriage. Now, who has a private carriage in the 1860s? Well, the top 5% earners. So for the first 10 years the park is open, it's really just a playground for the rich. It wasn't until the mass transit got you up here, and especially when the subways were completed, that more regular folk would come up here and partake in the park's beauty. But when the park first opens up, there were a lot of rules that kind of subtly shunned away the working classes of New York. There was no running allowed, there was no walking on the grass allowed, there was no ball playing allowed, there was no riding of a bike allowed. There were so many restrictions. There were no large gatherings allowed on Sundays. There was no music allowed to be played here in the park on Sundays. There was a carousel that used to be here. That carousel in today's money was equivalent to like a week's worth of wages. So it was incredibly expensive to do a simple thing like a carousel ride. The poor people were shunned. I wouldn't say they weren't allowed, but they were shunned. There were so many restrictions that it kind of put off the working class of the city. But it wasn't until the 1890s that these restrictions would begin to ease up. And in fact, in the mid 1890s into the early 1900s, you know, when bicycle riding was the big fad, you know, this is one of the first places in the world where women rode bicycles unaccompanied by men. It's kind of a beautiful thing. This is the Center Drive right here. And if you want to give yourself a bearing on where we are exactly, this is, you could say the Center Drive here is West 72nd Street. And we are walking towards the west side right now. But I have a few friends who work for the Central Park Conservancy, and I have to say, tip my hat off to these guys here because they really do maintain the park wonderfully. And the park really does show it. Looks absolutely beautiful. Here's a big statue of Daniel Webster. Daniel Webster was a a state senator from Maryland. And there's many statues of him that are his actual size. Here in New York, of course, we have everything bigger and better, so this is double his size. To take you, here you go, Lori. But he advocated for the Union to stay together during the Civil War. There's actually a few Civil War monuments here, because you got to remember, when the park opens up in 1858, the Civil War is just finishing up. So there are a few monuments to the Civil War out here, as people laugh at me. Got a poor signal, that's not good. Poor signal in Wigan tonight. Not good. I could totally go for a hot dog right now, but I'm not going to get a hot dog. All right, so now we're going to enter Strawberry Fields. And we're going to see it first, and then I'll tell you about it when we look at the Dakota. Or no. Good signal. Awesome, Julie. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a full signal here on my end. But as you see, very subtle. Very subtle. As you see, the entire landscape here is in a teardrop shape. And Strawberry Fields came together back in 1980. Well, Yoko Ono acquired it back in 1983. And then Strawberry Fields officially opens up on John Lennon's 45th birthday on October 9th, 1985. The first thing we're going to see is a plaque. And the plaque signifies that this is an international peace garden. And 151 countries recognize Strawberry Fields here in Central Park as an international peace garden. There's that plaque. Where's the plaque? There's the plaque. Now, a lot of these countries don't even exist anymore. But there you have it. Now, when Strawberry Fields first opens up, they actually are 17 strawberry bushes from all around the world. And the strawberry bushes were planted right up here. But unfortunately, the cold New York City winters and the little pigeons and birds like to eat the berries. So unfortunately, after the first year, they had to get rid of the strawberry bushes because they were pretty much destroyed by the birds. I know, right? Yugoslavia, right? There's a few countries that literally don't exist anymore on that list. But we still have our main feature here of Strawberry Fields is the Imagine Mosaic. The Imagine Mosaic is a gift from the city of Naples to the city of New York, and the black and white tiles are made from clay from the volcano at Pompeii. And it's kind of disheartening just seeing people stand on it. People just standing on. People just standing on it. Oh yeah, no, it's a couple right here. There it is. There's no flowers on it today. Oh well. Usually people leave flowers on it.
So again, everybody, Italians have historically been famous for mosaic work.
And there's a tour guide talking about it right there. So I'll let the tour guide do her thing. But yes, that mosaic work was created with some Italian artisans came over here, and I like to thank the city of Naples for giving us that beautiful mosaic. The simple black and white tiled mosaic of Imagine. You know, Yoko Ono did not want a statue. Somebody did create a statue of John Lennon in 1985 and placed it here in Strawberry Fields, but it was immediately removed. But you can see that statue today in Liverpool. It made its way out to England. But now, here we have it, one of the most famous buildings in New York City. Here it is, the Dakota Apartments. I could show you John and Yoko's apartment. And we're not going to go up. Yeah, you gotta have to sculpt the Lennon statue, exactly. It's in a city park somewhere. We forget the name of the park, but it's easy to find. Just look it up on the internet. But John and Yoko's apartment, which Yoko still owns, is right there underneath the black awning. It is the first 6 windows along the West 72nd Street side and the first 8 windows along the Central Park West side. It is a 40-room apartment, 40. It is a 40-room apartment. The apartment is so big, in fact, that Yoko rents out half of the apartment for the bargain basement price of $62,000 a month. You could be neighbors with Roberta Flack if you'd like. That would be awesome. Yeah, please, it'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. I feel almost obligated now to get a hot dog. I appreciate that. At the end of the broadcast, we're gonna get a hot dog. Thank you so much for the super chat, Lori. But I will tell you now the fateful story of December 8th, 1980. Everything that I'm about to mention takes place right here in front of that bus stop. That is the main entrance to the Dakota building. But let me get over here because I have a couple of tourists here listening in here, so I gotta walk away from them. I have a couple standing right behind me here. All right, so thank you, Laurie. I appreciate that. It's a very sad day. So on the morning of December 8th, 1980, John and Yoko were leaving their apartment. Now, it was not a secret that John Lennon lived here. He was quite proud that he lived here in the Dakota building. And the one thing he loved about New York City was that he could just be a normal person. He could be just like you and me. He hated security guards. And here in New York, he could walk without a security detail and be perfectly fine. Nobody would bother him. You know, you have your occasional Beatles fan, your occasional John Lennon fan. He will gladly, give up an autograph. But it was not a secret that he lived here. Even though when he moves here to New York is a scary place. He moves here in 1971. He first lives down the West Village on Bank Street. But then in 1973, he moves up here to Dakota. And again, it was not a secret that he lived here. So any morning, there were always a few fans that would wait for him right over there at the entrance to the Dakota. So on the morning of December 8th, 1980, this was no different than any other morning. He did the same in Edinburgh. That's right. So on the morning of December 8th, 1980, there was a few fans waiting for him. But one person I will not consider a fan was also waiting for him. Now, I'm not going to mention this guy's name. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not going to mention this guy's name because he wanted tour guides like me to say his name over and over again. So what I will tell you about this guy was that he was a married man from Hawaii. He had a job in the federal government, kind of went crazy, ended up working at a gun range, and then while working at the gun range, he wrote a 200-page rambling manifesto basically about who he wanted to kill and why. And it was a long laundry list of people who he wanted to kill. Howard Cosell, Jodie Foster, just to name some of the other people who were on that list. But unfortunately, John Lennon was also on that list. And on the morning of December 8th, 1980, he was down here waiting for him. He actually takes a picture with John Lennon. It's a very creepy picture where John Lennon's talking to somebody off of the camera, and this guy from Hawaii has his arm over John Lennon's shoulders, and he's looking directly into the camera. with a very creepy smile on his face. But he actually has him sign an album cover, and then John and Yoko hop into their town car and go down to the village for the afternoon. That day they record the final cut of Walking on Thin Ice, and then later on they go to a friend's apartment in the West Village to record a radio interview. This would be John Lennon's very last interview he ever gives to the press or public. It's just about 8 o'clock at night when they return here to the Dakota. There were no fans waiting for him, but this guy from Hawaii was waiting for him. As John Lennon hops out of his town car, right there in front of that bus stop, this guy from Hawaii approaches John Lennon, asks for an autograph. John thinks nothing of it, and he approaches this guy from Hawaii. At pretty much point-blank range, this guy pulls out a small revolver handgun from the inside pocket of his jacket and proceeds to shoot John Lennon 3 times in the stomach. Unfortunately, one of those shots hits an artery, and John Lennon bleeds out about an hour and a half later. Where I'm standing, there was a police car just on regular patrol. They just kind of had a police car always in this area right here where these rickshaws are. So they immediately heard the gunshot and they ran across the street, and John Lennon was literally thrown into the back of a squad car. He was then rushed up to Roosevelt Hospital on the Upper East Side, where he will die an hour and a half later. One of the nurses attending to John and Yoko, she just happened to blurt out the news to a reporter by accident that John Lennon passed away. So that very night of December 8th, 1980, that night, by 11 o'clock that night, there's roughly 30,000 people all in this area here. And basically everyone is mass mourning John's death. By the next day, this number swells to over 100,000 people. On the next day, there's moments of silence, there's mass mourning, and this mass mourning goes on for nearly 3 months, round the clock. It wasn't until March when the crowds of people will finally get moved away because people began building encampments here in the park, and it was becoming a sanitary issue. But on the anniversary of John Lennon's birthday, October 9th, and the anniversary of his death, December 8th, everyone comes to this section of Central Park to celebrate John's life. And like I said earlier, in 1983, Yoko Ono has this section of the park. She gets control of this section of Central Park to be remolded in John Lennon's memory. And on his birthday, on October 9th, 1985, on John Lennon's 45th birthday, this area officially opens up as Strawberry Fields here in Central Park. Yoko Ono always says, come here for his birthday. Don't come here on his assassination date. Come here on his birthday. Celebrate his life. That's what she wants you to do. So come out here on October 9th and celebrate his life. Everyone hangs out here until 1 o'clock in the morning usually, just playing music, and it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. But now we are making our way south along Central Park West, and our next big landmark we're going to see is the Tavern on the Green. So I had about 4 people who wanted to listen to that story that were standing directly behind me. Live streaming is fun. But what we're doing right now, if you're just tuning in, this is what we're doing right now. This is what I do on my walking tour. This is a walking tour. This is what I do on my walking tour here in Central Park. So I'm keeping my brain fresh for when I got to do this again. I don't like to throw out fake facts. You're more than welcome, Alistair Bruce. It was an incredible story. I just, you know what? I really hate telling it though. I mean, I would give anything to have John Lennon still around today. I mean, I could only imagine how politically active he would be in this world that we're living in today. I mean, especially with the world of social media. I would have loved to see John Lennon's take on social media. He probably would have had one of the best YouTube channels around. And on a side note, why did it take the British government to knight Ringo Starr? Paul McCartney gets knighted 30 years ago, and just now Ringo gets knighted? What the hell? Why did it take so long? Yo, Ringo Starr gets no respect. Oh, absolutely. You was in class. Wow. Yeah, my mom always, unfortunately, that's her birthday. So my mom always tells me that story about when she found out. That's right. He did do some sterling work on Thomas the Tank Engine. That's right. That's right. Right, Percy's going up up, up the hill. Okay. I'm tempted just to walk in the drive here. Love the quote about the Ringo Starr from the Beatles interview. That's right. That's very true, Lori. But John is a strong character, so that's right. That's right. He is the best drummer in the world. Even though he plays the simplest kind of drums. It's Ringo. Everyone wants to be Ringo, right? So now we're making our way over to the Sheep's Meadow and Tavern on the Green. Oh, we got a snowman. Somebody made a snowman. Somebody made a little snowman. Yeah, we do live in a much crueler world today. It's easy for people to troll nowadays. That's I think, the problem. We live in a day and age where anyone who has any kind of idea could harass and, talk smack about people. Kind of sad, really, because here you have this amazing tool where you could transport people through their cell phone or through their computer, and you could give them a tour. And I wish people use the internet for good. I wish more people use the internet for good than for what some people use the internet for, which is trolling. Kind of sad. Yep, any coward could have a platform, absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. I really do love Central Park, though. And now, the next time it snows, regardless of the wind, I think I'm going to just, no matter what, I'm just going to go up to Prospect Park and we're going to experience Prospect Park in a good, proper snowstorm. Unfortunately, that's right, Lori, be safe with that ice storm. I know you guys are going to get an ice storm out there. We're going to get a little bit of that here in New York, but not as much as you guys are out there in the Midwest. So I'm not looking forward to the ice storm. Please stay safe. This weather out here is wacky. This is some wacky weather we've been having. But it is winter, so it's supposed to be cold. Crust away over there. You're already hunkering down. Good. I'll try. Tomorrow's going to rain all day here in New York, so I have a feeling tomorrow I might get my chutzpah together and we'll do another marathon radio show on Periscope tomorrow. Because I know people are going to be a lot of people on the East Coast and in the Midwest are going to be inside, so it might be a good day for viewers. So across the way, there is the beautiful Sheep's Meadow. And as the name suggests, yes, there used to be sheep that used to graze along the meadow. In the days before lawnmowers, the sheep used to cut the grass. And Calbert Vaux himself, I know, was it Olmsted or Vaux? I'm pretty sure it was, no, I think it was Olmsted, because Olmsted was the landscape architect, but they literally had tryouts, if you will, for the sheep. They wanted to make sure the sheep were like the best color, white or gray, because they wanted to make them look as perfect as possible here on the meadow. Now, before this was built, this looked nothing like this. This used to be a rocky, and fertilize it, correct, and fertilize it. But before this was built, this was just a rocky bog full of water, and they had to blast out the stone here using dynamite. And this was part of a German family-owned rock quarry that used to be here. So if you can imagine, this used to look nothing like this. If it looked anything like this, people would probably be living here. But just basically, they blasted out all the rock, and then they placed a couple of tons of topsoil. And walking on that does feel like you're walking on a carpet. It's incredibly maintained. And, no dogs are allowed on there or anything like that. You just go out there, you go out barefoot, not have to worry about anything. Lie out, go people watching, grab some sun, get a nice suntan. But the sheep used to live right here. This is where the sheep used to live. This is today Tavern on the Green. This is the old sheepfold. And in the 1960s, this becomes the restaurant Tavern on the Green. Today, the management of Tavern on the Green has changed. It's not as extravagant as it used to be. And the prices have come down a little bit, somewhat. But it's nothing like what it used to be back in the day. It used to be a lot more posh and a lot more decorated. But if you come out here, I recommend lunch here at Tavern on the Green. It's pretty reasonably priced, but dinner you could skip on. You could skip on dinner. And then you have that red awning down there. That's a takeout window. They offer almost everything on the menu at a little bit of a discount. You could also eat your food right around in the courtyard over there. The courtyard does offer free Wi-Fi. And then behind Tavern on the Green, 55 Central Park West. Us New Yorkers know that as Spook Central. That is the Ghostbusters building. At the very top, that is where Susan Sarandon did her sorcery, and a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man climbed it. Out in Hollywood, they created the top 3 tiers of the building, almost in full scale, for the movie, the original Ghostbusters movie. Kind of amazing. That's right. That's why it's better for you to view than submit. I hear that. But we got our Ghostbusters building. Now we are making our way south towards Columbus Circle. And now, where are my Die Hard with a Vengeance fans? Because now we are going to follow the infamous high-speed cab scene where they got to get from 72nd Street all the way back downtown to Maiden Lane and the Gold Depository. Now, I'm going to show you the trick that they used to film that. And it's a very big trick. It is a very simple but yet big trick. And if you ever come here to Central Park, you will now know the secret of how they filmed that scene. Because if you could imagine, did they really have a car careening through the park? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I remember when they were filming that scene, it was a big deal. They had large sections of the park closed for a week. And what they did was parts here of the main drive they would cover in dirt. But more importantly, they utilized this wide pathway over here that curves and then goes underneath the drive here. This wide pathway here, this is the bridle path. This is where you ride horses down. But for the movie Die Hard with a Vengeance, they actually built a little ramp. So you remember that scene where it jumps and it goes through all the leaves and it jumps over the rock? That's like right here. That's like right over there. And then, if you remember, when you see the cab going down the footpath, and then they have the camera paralleling him. The camera is paralleling him here in the main drive. That's one of my favorite scenes, though, in the movie. And they're just careening, and they have the actors running out of the way of the cab, and it's always fun seeing that movie. One of my all-time favorites. And they actually, if you watch really closely, you see this church right here? They passed this church like 3 times because they're using the same pathway over and over again. So look really closely in that scene. You're going to see this church 3 times. And they go right in front of the Ghostbusters building. Who would have thunk it? Ghostbusters and Die Hard with a Vengeance. Right next to each other. Good to see you, Miss Lovely. As we make our way south, as we get down closer and closer, getting closer and closer to Columbus Circle and the conclusion of our tour. This will be considered a fast walking tour right here because we would end at 90 minutes. Yes, they did rebuild the Ghostbusters building. Yes, they did. Well, actually, what are you talking about? The firehouse is becoming an apartment building, or an apartment, really, just one apartment. It's going to be a very nice townhouse. And we're going to go see that very soon. It's still under scaffolding right now, so it's kind of boring to look at, but when they take away the scaffolding, we will go there, and I will show you the Ghostbusters firehouse. That's not too far from where we were when we were downtown. Oh, the one Gozer destroyed? I don't know. I don't know if they rebuilt that. I don't know if they rebuilt that. Yeah, we had no issues with Gozer since the 80s. No, we have not. No, we have not. The Ghostbusters did a good job cleaning up the city back in the 80s. Even though the city was all dangerous and dirty, they really did help out. Oh yeah, look, you've got here's another famous person's house. This building here, this is where Madonna has a co-op. But Madonna does not live in the co-op. She has her assistants live in the co-op. A Gozer is a, yeah, what is a Gozer? It's like one of the supernatural beings from the original Ghostbusters movie. But the co-op board wanted to get Madonna out of the building because she is not living in the building. Her assistants are living in the building. And she's managed to get around the whole co-op board, and she still owns the apartment but doesn't live in it. Her assistants live in there. Madonna lives on the east side in the 70s, around there. Like I think 74th Street, something like that. There you go. The ghost is a demon from the Ghostbusters. Yeah, I forget. I forget these movie things that you kids watch nowadays. Oh, look at that. See that building under construction right there? That's 220 Central Park South. Sting recently bought an apartment in there for the bargain basement price of $51 million. But more importantly, when this building is complete, it will have the most expensive residence in all of New York City. It will be sold for $250 million. You watched it way too much as a child, I hear you. But yes, it's one of the most expensive residences here in New York. Not complete yet, but most of it's already sold. And the building's not even nowhere near completed yet. I think it's going to begin I think people will begin moving into that building in about another year or two. Still a long way away from being complete. And then we have this white building over here. This is 15 Central Park West, formerly the Hotel Mayflower. When the Beatles play the Ed Sullivan Show, this is where they stay. It's right here. Today, this is an apartment building. And recently, oh, how many years ago now was that? I want to say it was maybe 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Oh yeah, man, that's right. That's right, Lori. Many moons ago. It was many moons ago. But today, this is a very posh residence. Not Samuel Jackson, what's his name? Oh my God, I'm blanking on the names. Melanie Griffith lives here. Denzel Washington lives here. Alex Rodriguez lives in there. And recently, a Russian oligarch with that old oil money, he bought his 19-year-old daughter one of the 2 penthouse apartments in that building for the bargain basement price of $22.5 million. It was recently reported that this little girl only lives in that apartment 6 days out of the year. So about a week. I know. Right, you heard about that? Yeah, she has her own private pool up there too. She has a private pool that overlooks the park. It's ridiculous. But you could rent out that apartment from the Russian oligarch for $60,000 a month. Live like a Russian oil tycoon for only $60,000 a month. And now, another one of my favorite building stories is coming up next. Let me get into position. Yeah, that's it. Just 60 grand. That's 60 grand. How much does it cost to live there? The apartments start out at around 13, 14 million. But like Denzel's apartment's like, 15, 18 million or something like that. Exactly, me too. Yeah, that's right, Boozy. All right, so right here, this gold and black building, this is the Trump International Hotel and Tower, formerly known as the Gulf and Western Building. When this was built as the Gulf and Western Building, this was one of the lightest skyscrapers in the city. It was so light, in fact, that it swayed way too much at the top. So when it lived its life as the Gulf and Western Building, the top floors weren't occupied very often. Exactly. I think we're all happy with our crappy houses and our crappy apartments and our crappy houses and whatnot. But In the early 1980s, Trump buys this building, and he has the intention of tearing it down and rebuilding it a little bit taller. So exactly, yes, we are going to see Trump's answer to the Unisphere. Yes, we are. So what he does is he thinks he's going to be able to tear down the building and build taller. Well, the rules and the zoning changed in the early 80s. So if he was to tear this building down, he would only be able to build as tall as that building right there, as tall as 15 Central Park West. So about 14, 15 stories he will only be allowed to build. So what him and there were two architects, one architect you may have heard of, one architect you probably never heard of. There were two architects. One was Philip Johnson. Philip Johnson did the exterior work for the building, and the interiors were done by Costas Kondylis. And the trick was, what they did was they basically weighed down the walls. They filled up the walls with concrete so the building wouldn't sway as much, and it worked. So the building doesn't sway as much. The walls are filled with concrete, so you can't hear anyone next door, and for a hotel, that's a very good thing. And today is really only Trump in name. Trump really doesn't own the building. They just lease his name on it. But Costas Kondylis is probably one of the greatest architects here in New York City who you've never heard of. He is considered a developer's architect, and he has designed over 70 buildings here in New York City. Oh yeah, they are smart. Let's see the ugly Unisphere that they got sued for by U.S. Steel. Now, the U.S. Steel Corporation, they designed the Unisphere for the 1964-65 World's Fair, and when they when they redid the Trump International Hotel and Tower here, Trump wanted to have a large landmark of his own. So they basically copied the Unisphere. You see that big globe down there? They basically copied the Unisphere. Exactly, he just puts his name on it and they rent out his name, correct. So when U.S. Steel found out about his rip-off Unisphere, they sued Trump, and Trump lost. Trump had to pay over $14 million to the United States Steel Corporation to if you will, he had to pay restitution to the U.S. Steel Corporation, and you know he paid $14 million, and then he was allowed to keep the monument there. So he basically paid for it twice. But if you know what the real Unisphere looks like, this is a sorry excuse for a Unisphere. A very sorry excuse for a Unisphere. But welcome to Columbus Circle. There's the Unisphere, or the rip-off Unisphere. And we have come, and we have completed our, he's got a tiny sphere, exactly. He's got a tiny sphere. So that's a very sorry excuse for a Unisphere. Yeah, I'm in Marty's neck of the woods. I see Marty's patio, Worldwide Plaza. Right down there is Worldwide Plaza. It's a Trumpy sphere, that's right. That's right. But we have completed our walking tour of Central Park. We have made it. We have walked about 3 miles. We have seen almost all the major landmarks of the park. And I am all out of stories. Tiny hands equals tiny sphere. That's right. That's right. Good to see you, Jim. Well, there you have it. It's always fun showing you guys the fun that is here in New York City. Thank you so much, Poozy. I might just get a hot dog from the Nathan's cart right now. Just came back from a late lunch. Awesome. We just did an amazing 90-minute walking tour around Central Park. So, from the beautiful Central Park at Columbus Circle here in Midtown Manhattan, this is Dutch Moz signing off. Have a fantastic New York day, whether you live here or not. Hug your loved ones, cherish the moment, and good afternoon, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you so much, Countess. Thank you so much, Jim. Check out the replay. Thank you so much, Boozy Burger Bell and Guy Heyman and Lori and so many of you guys. Thanks for the super chat, Lori. Most importantly, thank you so much. I love doing this. I love showing you guys New York. It never gets old for me. So we're going to do this again. Cheryl, hugs all around, Cheryl. Have a great day, guys. Time to go wander about here. Who knows? I might even call up Marty right now. have a margarita. Who knows? I'll see you later, Dave. Stay tuned. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a radio show on Periscope. But from Central Park, I'll see you later, folks. I'll see you later, Mrs. Calabash, whoever you are. Thank you so much, Susie. See you later, folks. I'll see you later, folks. Bye-bye.